Welcome back to Bee's Kitchen. Today we're going to be making eggnog. And it's a really simple dish to make. There's no cooking involved. There's just a little beating of the eggs and sugar. But it makes for such a lovely holiday dish. And we do it Christmas time and Thanksgiving. And you know the stores always have it in there. And for those of you who've never tasted homemade eggnog, once you taste it, you won't even consider buying the one in the store. It tastes totally different. It's like liquid ice cream. That's what it actually tastes like. So let's get started. I have all the ingredients I'll be using today. I have egg yolks in my mixer, and I'm going to use the heavy duty job this time. I have sugar, cinnamon sticks, ground cinnamon, nutmeg, half and half, heavy cream, vanilla extract, and this is our ice. Instead of using ice to dilute it in a punch bowl, I use vanilla ice cream. And I'll show you how I do it. I just happen to buy these small ones because I've seen them. I've been making this for probably 30 years. And I used to always just buy the quart or a couple pints, and I'll show you how I'm gonna cut them to keep them whole. Let's get started. We're gonna add, let me take this off so I don't make a mess. And I'm using the whipper so that we can really beat up the eggs very well with the sugar. So I'm gonna add 1.5 cups. Let's start with 1 and we'll see. Of sugar to the egg yolks. And let me tell you something that you have to be very cognizant of. You want to use pasteurized egg yolks. Using regular eggs won't protect you because they're not being cooked. So pasteurized eggs will ensure you that there's no sick bellies as a result of eating raw eggs. So I'm going to turn on the mixer. But I want this to beat for about 5 minutes. 5 minutes will give us a well-beaten egg. I'm going to take it down a bit and scrape the sides. So that it all gets beaten. It's coming out nicely. Bring it back up. And let's finish that beat. And I have it on medium to medium high. This is something that I made every holiday when my children were growing up. It's just one of my favorite things to make. And it looks so beautiful in the bowl. It's actually a nice centerpiece at your bar or on your coffee table or just have a beverage stand. But definitely what you want, and when you see how it's finished, you'll really enjoy it. Okay, I'm going to turn the mixer down now to low, and then I'm going to add the half and half. Let's turn it off so we don't make a mess. I didn't add quite all of it because I don't want to make a mess in the mixer. And then we'll put the cream in. I can always add that last once it's in the punch bowl. Okay, let me turn it on. And we're going to do it real low now because we just want to mix it. We don't want a lot of froth on it either. Now I'm going to add my vanilla extract. And I'm adding 1/4 of a cup. I didn't fill it all the way to the top. I did add 1/4 of a cup, I just didn't fill it all the way to the top. We're going to add a bit of cinnamon. And this time we're going to use more cinnamon than we did with the foods, the savory foods. Cinnamon is really a nice ingredient for eggnog. And now I'm going to add a couple pinches of nutmeg. And don't forget, we can always adjust it. We can always adjust the seasonings when we do our final tasting. Turn it up a little bit. If you find that it's not, the spices aren't blending in, just turn it up for, for a hot second, and let's make sure they get all in there. Okay, let's see what it tastes like and if we're on the right track. Delicious. Okay, let's see. We're going to take this off now. Let's get rid of these. And then we'll add the rest of the milk and just stir it in. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because I don't want to make a mess. Let's add the heavy cream. Wooden spoon, just to mix. And that's eggnog. It's so simple, but you have to want to make it. I'll add this as we get it into the punch bowl. Let's put all these to the side so when I do the final steps. I can tell you that when I first started making a homemade eggnog, we lived in Chicago, and you know what the weather's like in the Midwest, and it's always done on holidays, so it's always cold and snowy. I used to always just put everything outside the house in the snow, tight covered, wrap it real well, would be in containers that were screw top, and I put it out in the snow, and it would stay cold until the next day when it was time to serve it. Now for today, what I did was I put the cream and the heavy cream into the freezer before we started, so it's good and cold, so it doesn't melt your ice cream. What you want to do is you always want the ice cream just to hold it together, but you don't want the ice cream to melt because of the temperature of your cream and your mixture. Let's say your mixture is room temperature or not as cold as it should be. So what we do now is we're going to put it into the punch bowl. Let's move this out of the way. And I'm going to ladle it in, and the reason I'm ladling it in is because I don't want to mess the sides of the bowl in. You want it to look good. I think I'm going to do one better. I'm going to do a measuring cup. And if you notice what I'm doing, I'm bringing the cup over and not pouring it in, but just allowing it to go into in the punch bowl, because it's such a pretty presentation. You don't want to ruin that by having the eggnog all up against the sides. So I'm not pouring it in, I'm putting the cup inside of the mixture. I got a little bit there, but we can fix that one. We'll pour the rest of this in here. Let's just mix it in. And then continue with our process. And see how I'm not pouring anything so you don't get it on the sides. And that's important for the presentation of this beverage. Now, for those of you who like the real holiday eggnog, We're going to add, you can add Jack Daniels, Gentleman Jack, Myers rum. Let me tell you, my favorite is a 1/2 of Myers rum and a 1/2 of Jack Daniels or Gentleman Jack. You can put either one of those into this dish and it's phenomenal. I'm not going to do this because I'm not putting any in this time because there'll be children eating it, drinking it. But anyway, let me show you how we do the ice cream. And it floats. And usually, I guess the lights must have caused it to start melting, but that's okay. I'm just squeezing it and dropping it in. Usually I cut it with scissors. I have my scissors here, but the lights caused it. So it doesn't splash the sides, what I'm doing is squeezing it onto the spoon and then dropping it into the dish. And the kids love this dish. It's a dish that it's a beverage that both the children and the adults love. And don't forget, you could always use it at quart size, depends on the size of your punch bowl. Pint, you can use 2 pints, and what I do is I'll cut down the sides of the container and then remove the container from the ice cream versus removing the ice cream from the container. And there we go. Now that will keep it cold. Now, in addition to that, we have to also put cinnamon, sprinkle it around, and cinnamon sticks. Always put the ice cream in before the cinnamon sticks because it just makes for a prettier presentation. And you have cinnamon sticks floating around in your drink. Now we will add some sprinkles of the cinnamon, the ground cinnamon. We will then put in our ladle. We will take a paper towel. And we had a little splash here, and that's why we avoid that. Because you could imagine if we had a lot of them. I'm going to wet that a little bit. There's another one over here. And there you are. We now have homemade eggnog. One of the easiest things that you can make. Yet it's such a special thing to have when you entertain because the children and adults like it as well. You can always make 2 of them. One for the children and one for the adults. That's what I typically do. Thank you for watching me make this eggnog. I know you're going to enjoy it. It won't be long before this becomes one of your family traditions as well. If you want to see more of what I have to offer in the kitchen, in Bee's kitchen, I guess I should say, then subscribe to my channel. I have loads of things to share with you. Bye now.